Hi everyone, Candice here with Foster 360, and today I am here with Robert. And Robert is one of our, I want to say, most senior clients. I remember, Robert, that I met you. You must have been, I don't know me, the fifth maybe client that I had when I first started the program. I had no idea what I was doing. I met you in this group home.
Yeah.
Do you remember? And it's a while ago. It's been what, 3 years?
It's been about 3 years, I'd say.
It's been 3 years, and you've come such a long way. So I wanted to kind of share a little bit of what it meant for you to the past 3 years, what you've learned, what maybe some of your struggles have been. It's been a great adventure so far. So Robert, I know of your story that you entered the foster care system later, that you were 16, right? And one of the things that I'm really trying to do here is to educate our audience and our supporters on the various aspects and facets of foster care. And we all need to realize that not everybody enters foster care at 6 months of age, right? Some individuals are being taken away from their families later on. And what happens then? I mean, did you have a whole line of families willing to welcome you with wide open arms?
Not really. I kind of just got put into the cycle of group home after group home, and that kind of waiting to be accepted in one. I think that was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't an immediate, we're going to take you in. There was a list that I had to wait through, I'd say.
And did you ever go into a family?
No, I never went to a family.
No, it never worked out, right?
No.
Yeah, and that's when we met you. And I'd like to talk about how I met you. So again, very beginning for Foster 360, we were just starting. I had no clue what I was doing at that time. And I remember going to this group home that was very dark. I remember it was so dark inside, and I was a little intimidated by the atmosphere. It was like a male group home. And we were there to talk about Foster 360, talk about the services we offer, right? And I remember seeing you, and you were one of the only, I think there was another gentleman, who were basically raising your hands and asking questions and be really interested about our program. And I remember coming out and saying to Cheryl, our navigator at that time, we really need to keep an eye on this Robert. He wants to go to college. We need to help him. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. That was so long ago. I don't even know if I would have made it to college without you guys, though, honestly.
So, okay, that's really great to hear, and I would love to hear how we helped you.
Well, I mean, it comes down to the truth in life. You can't do everything on your own. And I mean, you guys were the biggest support network, keeping me afloat, keeping me, being able to find everything.
Yeah, I remember I had Cheryl do all the research under the sun to find possible scholarships for you, right?
Yeah.
You were right coming out of high school.
Yeah.
At that time. Where are you now?
I'm on my junior year.
Junior year? Where?
I'm sometimes forgetful with it. I'm at ASU Polytech, actually. It's one place that I wanted to be. But with my major change, I might go to a different one, but I'm still happy where I am,
That's awesome. And you're on a full ride. You're on a
More
full
than
ride.
full ride, I'd say.
So you even saved up some money.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Right? And talking about the support that you received from us, do you remember that time where you basically called me up and said, Candice, I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to stop college, and because I have this passion in 3D and I just want to follow my passion. Do you remember what I said to you?
Well, you told me that you wanted to talk about it. You're like, let us talk about it. That was the first thing. I'm like, I'm not going to get out of it. I think I was doing really rough in college, but you're like, well, let's find a different opportunity. Maybe you can change your major or
which is what you ended up doing, right?
Yeah.
You were in robotics engineering, right? And now what are you in?
Graphic information technology, but specifically 3D animation, like to cut it short.
Yeah, yeah. And so, do you think it was helpful? How do you think it helped you to talk through this?
I feel like it helped a lot because otherwise I'd probably just be across the country trying to work for some other person and not working out, basically.
No, yes. And I'm proud of you for listening. You know, you've always been very open to feedback and to revisiting some thoughts that you have. Do you remember that one time you called me and said, hey, I met these people and they told me to invest my money, invest my savings? Remember that conversation?
Yeah.
Right?
That would have went bad, seeing how the whole stock market crashed in 2021, 2020.
No, so yeah, I mean, you have always been very open to feedback, and you're having straight A's, right?
Mostly,
right? You're doing really well at ASU. So now what I do know, and again, the idea here is to talk about real stuff, like speak real language with you guys. It's not easy. I know that we talk. You and I talk every week, and I know that you go through some struggles that other young adults that go to college don't go through. And without going into any kind of detail, I'd love for you to talk about these struggles that you have.
Yeah, well, I'd say like the biggest struggle, and I'd say probably more universal one, is like finding the motivation to keep going on with college and with the major, because sometimes it becomes so stressful you forget what you're doing this for. You sometimes forget that you should actually be doing it for yourself. When you keep trying to do it for everybody else, it's like you have to find that internal motivation, I guess you could say.
And I know we've talked, and again, as we said, you know, we will not go into any kind of details, but if we stay high level, I know that we talk about, you know, Friday calls a lot about your trauma, right?
Yeah.
And how it affects your ability to find that inner motivation and to find that why.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes. Could you speak a little more about it?
I would say it comes through as finding that way to unbottle everything that's kind of building up. It's to be able to vent that out without slipping into, I don't know, trying to quit or slipping into video game or binging. It's like to find that it's motivation, but like it's also hard work, you know what I mean? That drive, that's the word I'm looking for.
The drive.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes, you know, there are some triggers that you go through that generate, you know, some level of anxiety that can come in the way, right? And finding the ways to cope for you and finding those skills to allow you to self-regulate and get yourself back in a place, right?
And it's like, for stuff like that, usually I almost find like bringing in more positivity in my life is a better way to do it. Like, I know it sounds dumb, but like watching cat memes or something cute or adorable, stuff like that, you know?
I used to call it love therapy. You know, when I was in a dark place in my life in the past, I used to watch these videos about, you know, like funny fails or things like that, and I would just laugh. And absolutely, so Robert, you and I, we talk every Friday. Mm-hmm. Give or take, right?
But sometimes,
every Friday, and then you come visit the campus. We're trying to do it once a week, right?
Which is fun.
How important is that kind of support system to you?
I would say it's very important as long as I can keep up with it. You know, sometimes you also, like, with the loss of motivation, you almost want to self-isolate. Like, it's not too much talk about trauma, I hope, but like sometimes you want to cut yourself off from the world. You kind of want to try to deal with stuff on your own because, well, for many reasons, because if I go into detail with that, I'd be like going into too much detail.
But one trend that I see in many youth is they want to figure it out on their own because that's what they're used to.
That too. It's like a lot of the times, I would say a lot of people, especially in this generation, go through emotional neglect growing up. So they're used to being independent. They're used to doing their own thing. They're used to having to raise themselves, kind of thing.
Absolutely. When in reality, in real life, true independence doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I rely on my neighbor to help me take my dogs out when I have long days at work.
Yeah.
That's not being fully independent, right? So
And it's somebody you can trust. Yeah.
and it's somebody you can trust, and so you need that kind of support system like anyone else. And while a lot of organizations are focused on providing all these services, like the practical services, you also need just the care. We talked about it last Friday, right?
Yeah.
How just someone who cares, like someone that can remind you of a parent without being your parent, but remind you of the kind of support that you could get from a parent or a relative or a good friend.
That's
right?
like the biggest thing that I would say everybody needs, because
Right.
there's not like we're a social creature. It's like you can't really go on without having that kind of connection or any kind of connection.
Absolutely. So, Robert, in closing, I have actually two questions
Okay.
in closing here. One is, where do you think you would be without programs like Foster 360?
I'd probably be living in a seedy apartment, trying my best to keep up with my 3D stuff, but probably falling to my old habits, and probably getting nowhere. That's it.
I'm very proud of you, Robert, and I've told you that. I tell you that every Friday, right?
I wouldn't be here without you.
But you're doing the work, though. You know, I
That's
could
true.
talk to you until I'm blue in the face. You're doing the work. You're listening. You're doing the work. You're letting us guide you, and so you're kind of making our, work easier. But still, I want to acknowledge you for that. The other thing I want to ask you is, I want to give you a voice here. This is your video. What do you want people to know? If you needed to educate people on what it means to be in foster care and why they need to support programs that help youth that age out of foster care, what do you want them to know?
Without support, I'd say a lot of foster kids are basically left in a situation that's worse than being homeless. Because at least when you're homeless, you have that freedom. But when you're aging out and you're in foster care, you're either stuck to being in these group homes, to being where they might be abusive or terrible, or you're stuck living on the streets as a fresh new kid. You don't get like the street smarts that usually people get.
Right. Yes. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And we were talking downstairs about starting a podcast to really educate the population about what it means to be in foster care, what it means to age out. And I really look forward to having you on this, because I know you have a lot of things to say. And one of the reasons why I really enjoy our Friday calls is that you have a lot of wisdom, and I'd like you to share that wisdom with others, because I believe that you are an example for a lot of the youth that are not yet where you are, right? Have not yet made that step of saying, okay, I have a trajectory. For you it was college. It might be something else for others, right? But you're on that trajectory, and I keep telling you, keep pushing through this, because once you have your college degree, the sky's going to be your limit. So
That is for sure.
I'm very proud of you, and thank you so much for being on this video with me.
Thank you.